I'll pound the living shit out of you dumbass freaky tourist.
Any normal person who has seen over 100 animes knows that dubs are not exactly great, so I thought I would try and prove that maybe there are some animes that have dubs which are as just as great as the subs, but those are extremely rare cases. And from the title of this video, it's obvious that today I'll be taking on a difficult challenge and watching a few clips of different isekai animes and rank those on this tier list. Now I obviously won't be watching the full show or the complete episode, as that would be too time consuming and also get boring. Instead, I'll be watching a small clip from the video and will be ranking them based on certain rules. Also, if your favorite isekai anime doesn't appear in this video, then don't worry, as this video will have multiple parts in the future, so if you don't want to miss out, then go ahead and subscribe. And with that said, let's jump right into the video. Now that we are on tier maker, here are the respective tiers, and I managed to grab a few isekai animes. Most of them are the modern ones, some of them are old, and a few from previous seasons. And I know that I said I would shoot some clips, but I realized that isn't my style, so instead I will be giving my opinions. And without wasting any more time, let's see what we have here. So first up, we have the Rising of the Shield Hero, and if you've been a regular of my channel, then you know that I just like talking about the show whenever I can in my videos because I really enjoyed the show. In the original Japanese version, the characters come out as, how do I put it, dark I guess? Though in the dub, the main character Naofumi, his voice is good in my opinion, and so is Raphtalis, but there is just something off about the other characters which just makes it sound different. So for that, I'll put it in B tier. I was saving this for last, but I thought why not put it in the beginning. Let me be honest, Sword Art Online was the show that introduced me to the world of anime and was my gateway show like many others, but I watched it in English dub. I don't know whether this is just me, but I think that any person who watched Sword Art Online as a gateway anime probably saw it in English dub. I'm going to be a bit biased here and put it in the S tier because I genuinely think that the dub is great. I also did watch the entire series again in the original Japanese sub, and that was also pretty great. Even though this anime has plenty of flaws, I think it's safe to say that the dub of the show is pretty amazing. Next up, we have Death March, which to be honest was a normal isekai anime filled with tropes and cliches. It's just your typical isekai. I didn't particularly enjoy the show, so I don't know what to say. The English dub was okay. It just felt weird seeing the main protagonist talk in such an unusual tone, so I'm going to put it in C tier. Next in the line is How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, and the English translation is absolute garbage. I enjoyed the show for how the main character Diablo has to keep up his tough act with him speaking in the tone of a demon lord, but this show just went up and destroyed that. If anyone did enjoy this, I'm sorry, this is not good. The girls in his harem, which he doesn't know he has, sound fake. That's one way of putting it. Even though this show is full of cliches, the voice acting seems mismatched to the characters the voice actors are playing, and the end result sounds like a hot piece of garbage. I don't recommend this show to anyone searching any isekai dubs to watch. Please, just don't. For this, I am putting it in E tier. Next is The Familiar of Zero. I haven't actually seen the show yet and has been in my plan to watch list for quite some time now. So for the sake of this video, I completed the first episode both in Japanese and in English dubbed. Since this is a very old anime, I expected it to be bad, but it wasn't as bad as I had hoped. The English version wasn't exactly great, but rather was mediocre in my mind. The tone of the main characters felt different from how they were supposed to sound like. So with that in mind, I'll put it on B tier. Then we have The Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter. Even though this is one of the biggest trashy isekai of last season, I was actually surprised by how good the dub was. I really enjoyed how the interactions felt different in the tone but similar enough to that of the sub version, and it's just pretty good. I have decided to put this on the A tier. Now we have The Slime Isekai. This isekai was a pretty wholesome show in the first season and it got really dark in the second half of the second season. The English dub was not good and it felt different than how it was supposed to sound. Rimuro's voice is a lot like a girl, but it's supposed to be of a male's voice, even though he doesn't have a gender and looks a bit more like male, so that didn't feel right for me. The other characters also felt a bit weird, but these are just my opinions, so don't take it seriously. With all of that in mind, I put it in the B tier. Now we have Arifureta. I made an entire video on this telling how edgy this is and not in a good way, so do check it out. It still managed to get a sequel which is airing next year, so maybe there is still some hope left. The English dubbed wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but sometimes the voices felt flat, and for that I'll put it in C tier. Next up on the list is Log Horizon. Honestly, I really enjoyed the first season and I kind of dropped it in the second half of the second season. I am planning on picking it up again and also have to catch up on the third season. And as for the dub, I really enjoyed it as I thought that the voice actors perfectly captured the tone and behavior of the characters of the show. And for that, I have decided to put it in the S tier. Next in line, we have Redo of Healer, and I just checked, this doesn't have an English dub. I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. And the same goes Next up, we have one of the best isekai out, for me at least, and that is ReZero. I really enjoyed this, and if I had to rate this show on a normal anime tier list, I would easily put it in the S or A tier. But we are not doing that. I watched a few episodes in the dub and I just didn't like it. Some of the characters' personalities were a lot different due to the voice, like for example Roswell. His voice and personality sound very different from what I remember, and the same goes for Subaru, though it's not as bad as Roswell's. Due to these and a couple of other reasons, I'm going to put it in D tier. And finally, we have In Another World with my smartphone. Let's be honest, we can all agree that this is another trashy isekai anime. So I was kind of hoping that the dub would be good like how it was for the Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter. I gave it a try and it was trash. I didn't enjoy it, but I'm sure that there are some people who did, and that's good for you. I am putting it in D tier. Then we have Isekai Cheat Magician. This show was mediocre in my eyes. Before I watched the show in English dubbed, I had a bit of a high hope for it to be good. I don't really have much to say about this other than it belongs in the D tier. And finally, we have Restaurants to Another World. This is an interesting one. I really enjoyed the show and the voice acting was good apart from the chef. While watching, I noticed that sometimes what the voice actors are telling isn't lip-synced at some moments, and due to that, I'll be putting it in the B tier. And here is the final look at the tier list. I think it came out nicely, and if your favorite show didn't make this list, then don't worry, as I plan on continuing this and splitting it into multiple parts. And as you can see from this list, majority of the shows are in the B tier, which is like a mid tier, or in the D tier, which is the second last. Also, you may have noticed that I didn't go too deep into any one show. This video is just me sharing my opinions on what I thought on these respective shows, and I plan on continuing like this. And if you enjoyed the video, then go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. That is all for this video. As always, I will see you guys next time.